mother told me don't worry about no man. My mother told me to go to school, go to law school, get your law degree, and go have some kids and do your own thing. So her mother is recommending to her daughter to bypass the man, get the degree and the babies. Her aunts are doing the same thing.
What's up, guys? So I'm not sure if you remember like the early days when the whole bug jumped off and people were really freaking out, and everyone ran to the store and they were getting things in order of importance, right? And what was the most important thing for people to get? It was toilet paper, right? So if you don't remember, it kind of looked like this. So you saw back when the bug hit, people were going crazy over really important things like toilet paper and stuff like that, right? And if you look at like storms, right before storms hit, you go to produce section, it looks like this, right? And if you, go to the bread section is almost always the first one to clear out, right? And you can't find sliced bread before a storm. And you might find some hamburger buns or something like that, maybe some tortillas depending on where you are, but sliced bread is going to be the first to go, right? Or even if you go to the dairy section, the eggs, the milk, the cheese, butter, that's going to get gone, maybe even yogurt. But you know what doesn't get gone? Chocolate, potato chips. I mean, I would say maybe now because people are fatter, but things that people don't eat for subsistence, right? Like, I guess ice cream, stuff like that. That's going to be the stuff that people aren't making beelines to go buy ice cream and chocolate and stuff like that and potato chip dip. They're going to get bread, eggs, milk. They're going to get the important stuff first. So you might be wondering, why am I comparing two things that maybe don't have a lot to do with each other in terms of, shopping before a disaster like a snowstorm or something, and, dating and mating? Simply put, if something is important, you take care of it early. You don't go to the supermarket right before a snowstorm and go buy chocolate, potato chips, ice cream, and then at the end you go to the bread aisle. You don't do that. You go to the bread aisle first. You go get cheese, eggs, milk first. And then you get the other stuff that's not as important later. And so when you hear these ladies are going to talk about their prime, when is their prime? This is when they think that they should be urgent about finding a mate, right? So let's listen to them say when their prime is.
As far as y'all looking good, and the prime years is when?
Our 20s?
25
to 35.
First of all,
And I'm
I wouldn't be saying no 35. What about 35?
Absolutely
Listen,
not.
and I'm 32.
I'm just saying my prime right now.
Speak for yourself. My prime is in 30s, okay?
Your prime in the 30s,
Right.
you think?
Damn right.
Right.
I
But
look
that
better.
wasn't what it was in the generation before us.
Too bad.
But we're still changing those standards.
We're
still
changing
working
those
on
standards
it.
because look at J-Lo at 52.
Nah, that's working. That's millions, though. That's work.
Okay, so I don't know why you would go to J-Lo. That's a terrible. But anyways, you hear what they're saying? They're basically saying that they're going to be in their prime basically for the duration of their adult lives. So there's no urgency to find a mate when you're 25. That's when you should start looking. And then your search starts at 25. There's no urgency in your early 20s. And so from 20 to 25 is just have a good time. And so that's why I think as we see just life progress, especially in the West, I think that men are more a luxury. I really honestly think that. I think having a husband is a luxury. If you have a job and you can do what you want to do and go out with your girlfriends and you can, see the 10% guys whenever they choose to answer you on the dating app or whatever, you basically have everything you quote unquote need/want in life. And so that means, of course, that when it's time for you to find a husband, it's not necessarily something that you're doing out of necessity. You're doing it because I'm a female or I'm a woman and I'm supposed to have a man. And so, okay, I guess I'll get serious about finding a man now. And I think that that's the way that a lot of young women are dating now. And you can tell when you start hearing numbers like 32, 35 is my prime, that means that they're not going to get serious about a husband until they get to 30. So this is a second video, and here they're talking about making their transition from dating the F-boys to, dating the stable guys. And again, you heard in the first video, they're talking about their prime is like 30, 32. So they're not even thinking about making this transition until their late 20s to early 30s, right? So listen to the reasoning for how they decide to make the transition.
The beginning of the podcast, they said in their earlier years, they might have liked the D-boy or the guy that was toxic. And now they are ready for a nerdy wordy. Why do you think in the 20s they were about that life is a different aspect now? What was the change? Why do you think the change happened?
They see the D-boys getting locked up.
Mm-hmm.
You sending commissary or?
Nah, they back out here in these streets.
Well, they brought the excitement. You know what I'm saying? They brought the...
It's like a movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
But like I said, with that movie came like stuff you didn't like the cheating, the multiple women, the baby mamas, and you guys didn't have.
So notice what's really interesting is that for guys who have had a chance to go overseas, if you meet people that are marriage minded, young ladies that are marriage minded, they're not talking about stuff like movies and excitement. They're not talking about that. They're talking about, I want a family, I want to settle down. And you'll meet women in their early to mid 20s talking that way overseas. And to see these women, I don't know if they're in their early 30s or not, but they might be. Who cares? That's their prerogative. But to hear women that are at least north of 25 still talking about fun and excitement and talking about multiple baby mamas in their late 20s, it's not important. A marriage to an average man who is not going to basically take them into 2 or 3 income tax brackets above where they are is not a necessity. It's a luxury. Either I'm going to get the guy at the very top, or I'm going to just hang out here and just keep having fun. I don't need a regular 9-to-5 guy. I don't need him.
Have no kids when you first met, so it's like, okay, let me take a different track and let me get with that nice guy, and it's like, okay, you feel more secure, like they're not gonna do it.
I feel like my definition of man has changed over time. When I was growing up, the standard that I was given was assertiveness meant that you were a better man, but I've just grown to know, like, somebody that doesn't acknowledge you or like love you enough just isn't a man. So now that I've come across somebody that just gives me everything that I was looking for, or like, even as like, like the little girl inside of me that wants to be loved, he's giving me all of that, and it's like, okay, maybe this is an actual man, somebody who can set a standard for like the next generation.
No, see, first of all, I don't know if she has a ring on her finger yet, but I don't know if there are enough of those guys around or not, but this idea that you got to practice on the bad boys so that you can be ready for a good husband, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely, utterly ridiculous. And you can just see that there's just no urgency. After I had my fun and I dealt with the guy that had the girlfriends that lied to me, now manhood is a guy that's responsible. It is not a pressing need for these women to get married to a regular, hardworking, average guy. There's no pressing need for it. And so you see them behave as such. I get around to it when I get around to it. And that is, if there is a way to describe the dating situation in the West, it's simple. Average women don't feel any pressing need to marry average men. And so they date in a way that is someone lollygagging in a store when people are lining up grabbing toilet paper and bread, milk, eggs while they're flipping through the Cosmopolitans and the Glow, I don't know what the magazines are, Glamour, whatever. And they're just flipping through the magazines. I'll get the eggs when I get around to it. And they're gonna get around to it, and there's not gonna be any eggs, no milk, there's nothing left. If that's the way you do it, if that's the modern woman, best of luck to you, because that is not a winning strategy. To the next video, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.